Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sarah's Writing Spot. I'm Sarah, and today we are going to be talking about how to use writing prompts with students, and specifically my favorite, which are writing prompts with pictures. So let's get started. So I'm sure most of us have used writing prompts with our students, but my question is it really as simple as throwing a prompt on the board and then just letting the students go at it? Well, that depends. It's a yes and a no, in my opinion. Normally, that's the case if it's like a 9-week assessment and you truly want to see what the students can do on their own alone. A lot of curriculums do that. However, if it's not testing time and you're sort of preparing for a writing prompt assessment coming up, I don't recommend that strategy. That's not how kids are going to learn. A lot of kids will just get major writer's block. They have no idea where to start. So this is really the time for you to teach them how to get started, scaffolding that learning. So here are some things I recommend when you're using a writing prompt with kids to get them motivated to write, excited about writing, and really teaching them the structure of writing with those writing prompts. So first of all, I love to brainstorm ideas with my students. So if I have a writing prompt I've given them, we talk about it out loud. We get excited, we share ideas, and we even might start talking about what we're going to write out loud. So that's one way that you can get kids excited about it and ready. The second one is providing sentence starters. There are a lot of kiddos who just need that nudge to just get started. And if you can just get them started, they'll write some great things. So what I like to do with my students is I usually model a few sentence starters, and then I encourage my other students to join in too and make some suggestions on their own. And what you'll find is that first they really need your help at the beginning. But after you do this for a while, they're going to start coming up with sentence starters by themselves. They just need that modeling. They need that a little bit of extra support. The third thing I like to do with my writing prompts is to provide a graphic organizer. So if this is a prompt you really want, to have a nice piece, maybe a piece you're going to put up, out on the bulletin board or share, and you really want it to be good, I really recommend that you use a graphic organizer of some type so kids can actually have a little bit of a plan before they get started and their writing doesn't take these wild turns and with no direction. So some examples would be, let's see. Right here. Here's two examples. So the first one is an example of what a narrative organizer might look like. That's where the student would identify who are the characters in the story, what is the setting, generally what's the beginning, middle, and end before you get started. But not all writing prompts are narrative stories. A lot of writing prompts are nonfiction. So in that case, the second graphic organizer I have here is a writing prompt I did about New Year's resolutions. So that is a nonfiction topic and would need a different type of organizer. And so in this case, I had my students list their 3 resolutions, and then they also had to explain how they would reach that goal for their resolution. So they had that plan before they actually started writing. That way their writing was better. Okay, now another thing to think about is when you give a writing prompt, you don't have to have a student go through the entire writing process. You might just want to use it to teach some narrative story elements. So here are some examples here. So the first one is you might want to do a lesson on narrative story structure. You might want to put a prompt on the board, and students simply are just practicing planning out characters, setting, problem, solution, or beginning, middle, end. And that's all they're doing. They're just practicing those basic story structures. Doesn't mean you have to go all the way to the end. Sometimes we don't have time to do that. The other example is you could use writing prompts to practice bold beginnings. So you could look at a picture prompt and you could encourage students to think of ways to start their story with dialogue, or ways to start their story with sound, or ways to start their story with action. And it can be a lesson just on bold beginnings using your picture writing prompts. The third way is to practice and to teach point of view, to teach students that not every story is going to be third person. You might want to write a story that's in first person or second person, and talk about what those are. You could have students practice different beginnings with different points of view. And that's the lesson. You don't need to go through the entire story, but you can just practice beginning or starting a story from different points of view. So here's an example. This is a writing prompt I created for Halloween. And so in this case, the picture prompt is a mysterious witch hat that has been left on the ground. So this would lend itself very well to a narrative story. So what you could do as a teacher is you could, in my first example, you could give students a graphic organizer and they could plan out who might be in their story, where it takes place, what happens the beginning, middle, and end. Or you could simply have students write down 3 different ways to start the story. Start it with dialogue, start it with action, start it with a sound. Or you could do a lesson on point of view and have students start it 3 different ways, from a first person point of view. So maybe you're talking about if you find that hat, second point of view, or you could do third point of view where it's just you're telling a story about different characters that don't include yourself. So all of those are 3 different ideas that you could use with picture writing prompts. All right, now I have lots of free writing prompts in my store. So if you want to give this a go in your classroom or at home, if you're teaching at home, head on over to my Teachers Pay Teachers store. I've got a bunch of them that are free. These are fun. These are silly animal writing prompts that I have. You could even use these for journal writing. We didn't even talk about journal writing. You could have a different prompt every day where students could just sit down and write a few sentences. Oh yeah, that's something else. Don't feel like your students have to be writing these long stories. If you have younger students who are 2nd or 3rd grade, they might just be writing 2 or 3 sentences, and that's okay as long as they're writing and practicing. Okay. These 2, I also have seasonal writing prompts that are free. As you can see here in this picture, they come with sentence starters, and they're appropriate for 2nd through 5th grade. So hop on over there if you want some lesson plans that are already made for you. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you've learned some new tips that you can use with your students when you are using picture writing prompts. I hope you have a great day and happy writing.